Hey, my friends, it's your girl Tisha popping by with a midlife makeover moment. So, let's talk about how authoritarian parents can be the perfect setup for you if you're an empath to partner with a narcissist. Authoritarian parents, what do they have to do with it? So, let me show you a little bit about how she explained it in her video about codependence. So here's a chart, right? And so this center part is a healthy person, right? And over here on the left, and you can see it's a +1, +2, +3. The narcissist has really an inflated sense of themselves. So they're, they big over here. But for codependent slash empath to be in relationship with a narcissist, they're usually less than. They feel a lot less than themselves. And so that's kind of how this cycle continues. The narcissist has this inflated self-esteem, self-worth, thinking that the world revolves around them. And the codependent empath is over here fixing, changing, because codependence is really a loss of relationship with one's self. So as a codependent, you're just kind of floating along to get along, and you're kind of whatever the narcissist is into, right? The narcissist, on the other hand, has this inflated ego, and they feel like the world revolves around them. This is a perfect match for dysfunction, okay? So let's talk about how authoritarian parents can set themselves, their children, up to be with a narcissist. So I'm not a therapist. I'm just a woman that's been through a few things, and these are my conclusions. So, you can weigh in, you can tell me what you think. So authoritarian parents kind of show up a little bit like narcissists, and that is, I'm in charge. You do what I say. You don't question my authority. I make the ultimate decision. You don't do as I do. You do as I say, because I'm in control. So as a child, you learn, I'm not really that important. What I need doesn't matter. I better not ask anybody for anything because I'm not going to get it anyway. And so the child starts losing a little bit of themselves and a little bit of themselves and a little bit of themselves. And as they get older, unconsciously, they don't realize that this is their love pattern. This is how they show up in relationships, shrinking. They shrink because that's what they're used to. These people are over here. They're the fixers. Let me just be quiet. Let me just show it, make sure everything's taken care of. And so these folks feel comfortable solving problems. The narcissist is not going to listen. They are not going to listen to counsel. They're going to keep making messes. And when they do, they're going to have an expectation over here that this empath and codependent person's going to fix it. And guess what? They're going to accept it because that's what they're used to. But here's the problem. What happens when people start getting healthy? The codependent one starts doing their work. They start questioning if what they have done in the past is working. And they realize, you know what? I don't really feel like I need to have to be less than to be in relationship with somebody. So they start moving. I don't know if you can see this. They start moving this way. They start moving towards center, to equilibrium, where they're just as important as this other person. But guess what happens? Baby, that power dynamic changes, and that narcissist has a fit. This codependent empath starts setting boundaries, and baby, this whole relationship is done. And this codependent one over here that is starting to get healthy can't understand. What? What's the problem? All I was trying to do is to be an equal in my relationship. All I was trying to do is to have my voice be heard. All I was trying to do was be considered when decisions were being made, because I'm human too. And God says I have value too. And my whole role can't be serving this narcissist over here. but perhaps the narcissist is not ready to change. Perhaps they like being in power and authority and control. So what happens? The relationship breaks down and the narcissist goes and finds somebody else over here who's easier and haven't done their work. So if you're a parent and you have small children, and let me be the first to say I am guilty because I grew up with an authoritarian parent. I became an authoritarian parent. The only difference is with my child and me, we both were moving towards a healthier space, okay? And we didn't always get it right. But here's what I'll tell you. When you have children and you don't give them a voice and you don't let them have a say in their own life and you don't believe that what they think is more important because you had these kids over here to serve you, it happens, right? And sometimes you're doing it unconsciously, but what are you doing? You're making this child smaller and smaller. And so they have less and less and less of themselves. And so they learn that their only job is to provide, care for, take care of, fix things for narcissistic, authoritarian adults. So I'm going to say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you have a girl. Allow her to use her voice. Allow her to say no. Don't shame her. Don't make her do things your way just because that's easier for you as the authority. Because when you do, you set her up to be in relationship with a narcissist. And let me tell you something. That is a painful break. So what I'm going to tell you is thank you to Miss Leslie Vernick for breaking something down so simply that I have been struggling with for years. So here's the thing. If you have a relationship dynamic that looks a little like this, whereas the codependent, you don't even know who you are the role of somebody's spouse, you are the wife of whomever, or the husband of whatever, or the parent of whoever, and this person with the inflated ego is taking all the oxygen in the air. It started down here, perhaps in childhood, with a child who did not have a voice in their own life. Don't do your kids like that. As a parent, you have the chance to clean it up. And what I heard Dr. Anita Phillips say is one of the greatest gifts you can give your child is a gift of an apology. Start the healing, baby, because she's going to have some pain on this other side if you don't get it fixed pretty soon. It's your girl, Tisha, your midlife makeover maven. Weigh in. Does this look familiar to you? And if you haven't seen her, get on YouTube and find Dr. Leslie Vernick, who's wrote 2 books that were pivotal in my healing: The Emotionally Destructive Relationship and The Emotionally Destructive Marriage. 2 Christian-based books about how to find yourself through God, setting some boundaries, and learning to care for you. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.